Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frank Fort, host of Inside the Owl's Burrow. Glad you're here today. We welcome you, those of you who are in the building, those of you who are watching on FAU.com, the live stream. This arena has, over the last 2 years, been this place with a lot of great memories, a lot of great sights, a lot of great sounds. See about half a dozen of our players in the front row. Guys, we loved every minute of it. Obviously, something special has gone on here, and if you believe the people that cover college basketball on a daily basis and their reaction to the hiring of Coach Jakus, there's no reason to believe we can't continue to have a ton of fun inside this building. With that said, let me introduce the president of Florida Atlantic University, Stacy Volnick.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you all of us for joining us here today at the Ellie to welcome our new head basketball coach, John Jakus. I'd like to thank members of the Florida Atlantic University Board of Trustees, the foundation, and all of those who have supported this program over the years. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an exciting couple of years here for men's basketball at Florida Atlantic, and the future is bright indeed. But I'd like to personally take a moment to thank a group of people who have made all of this possible. Will our team please stand and be recognized? Thank you. I've got to personally know this group of young men, and they are the heart and soul of this program, so thank you. But before we look forward, I would be remiss not to acknowledge Dusty May and thank him for all that he did for this program. We certainly wish him well. I would also like to take a moment to acknowledge our Vice President and Director of Athletics, Brian White, and thank you for bringing another great coach to the Owl family. And so today, we're here to celebrate the beginning of a new era for Florida Atlantic's men's basketball under the leadership of head coach John Jakus. Coach Jakus comes to us from Baylor University, where his accolades include 6 NCAA tournament appearances, 2 Sweet 16 appearances, and the 2021 National Championship title. Coach, you know we're going back to the tournament next year, right? In all seriousness, and I was serious, after having the opportunity to spend time with John, I have every confidence that his experience and work ethic, he will continue our winning culture and lead this team to future success. And I know the entire community joins us in embracing John as our new head coach. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to John, his wife Sarah, and their children, Brady, Cal, and Harper. We're so happy that you've joined the Florida Atlantic family. Welcome to paradise and go Owls.
Thank you, President Volnick. I can just tell you that about an hour ago, I had the opportunity to interview Coach Jakus one-on-one, and he is terrific. You guys are going to love him. Our athletic director and vice president, Brian White, and I noticed Coach Herman was in the building. If you go back to Coach Herman's hiring and this hiring and the lightning speed at which they occurred, I think Brian might have a new moniker. He's the road runner. He moves fast. So to introduce Coach Jakus, let me bring up our vice president and director of athletics, Brian White.
What an exciting day for FAU. Thank you all for being here. Great crowd on such short notice. I think we gave you all 24, 48 hours notice, so thank you for being here today. I see many friends in the room and many familiar faces from this run. And I'm just very grateful for you all being here today. First and foremost, I want to thank President Volnick. President Volnick has provided tremendous leadership for this university for a long time, and very grateful for that. Also want to thank Chair Busani and all of our Board of Trustees. We have, as well as our foundation board, we have a great group of leaders in place at this university, and it's no coincidence that we have such a great trajectory. Our whole university, the future of this place is so bright, and it's because of the leadership we have in place across the board. I also want to thank the donors we have here today. FAU was really founded as a university through philanthropy, and we would not be where we are today if it were not for the generosity of our donors over time. So thank you to the incredibly generous donors we have at this university, and athletic department university-wide as well. And also recently with the changes in college athletics, NIL success is a critical component to our success. So I want to thank the donors that have contributed to NIL over the last couple years, and just know that that's extremely important for our future success as well. So thank you to those that contributed to the NIL success of our student athletes. Next, I got to thank our staff. These searches are a 24/7 thing, all hands on deck, to make sure that they're critical components and affect the future trajectory of our athletic department university. So we really had, around the clock, tireless efforts from our staff. So I want to thank everybody that was involved with the search. Also want to thank my wife Paige as someone that holds down the fort pretty consistently year-round, but especially during these searches. So thank you, Paige. Following our meeting with the guys on Sunday morning, we had 20 plus interviews with candidates, really good candidates. And I think what was most exciting to me is the level of interest. Everybody we wanted to talk to us. And it's because of the players we have in our program, but it's also because of the fans we have and the passion we have. I mean, we had interviews of bringing up the flamingos and the Kramer cutouts and our swimmers. God bless them. They were on the Today Show this week. And a theme that kept coming up was they said, the FAU is a national brand now. They think everyone we talked to was like, yes, absolutely, FAU can continue to have success year in, year out. These guys have put us on the map, and there's just so much passion about FAU and all of you. So thank you guys as well. What was more important to me than a bio or a resume, was just the people that I know and trust in this business, and that's coaches, that's agents, that's athletic directors, scouts, et cetera. And it was really important to me, and I've talked to a lot of people and put a lot of time in to make sure I'm getting real feedback on who our next coach would be. And the name that kept coming up was John Jakus, and over and over and over again. And we'd obviously done a lot of research prior to having these external conversations, but that was a name that many times I wasn't the one to bring it up, and that was a name that was brought to me by so many different sources. And the themes on Coach Jakus that we hear are tireless worker, extremely well connected, just cares about players, cares about his student athletes as people as well, elite at X's and O's, elite at player development, all the things we want as a coach, and maybe most importantly as well, a great human being, someone that would be a great addition to the Boca Raton community and the FAU community as well. So really, checked about every box, also just proven winner with head coach experience, checked about every box that we can imagine. So there's, it's no coincidence the metric Stacy mentioned, that he's won a national championship. He's been to multiple Final Fours, been to 3 Elite Eights and 5 Sweet 16s. That success, is he wasn't just a part of it. He was a big part of it. And I'll give you, a couple examples. There's only 2 programs in the country that were top 5. Because before I say that, we've had a lot of success here offensively as well. It's been a lot of fun, this brand of basketball, watching these guys play. And I know that's something, we don't want to just win, we want to be fun to watch. And I think that's going to be critically important as well. So in the last, there's only 2 programs in the country that have top 5 offensive efficiencies in the last, 3 out of the last 4 years. Those programs are Baylor and Gonzaga. There's also only 2 programs in the country that have top 5 offensive efficiencies 4 out of the last 4 years. Those programs are Baylor and Gonzaga. Coach Jakus has obviously been a part of those programs, but if you ask Mark Few or Scott Drew, they'd tell you he was a critical part of their success and integral to how they've built their programs as well, and knows that roadmap inside and out. The next thing is, I think somebody that's elite in player development is extremely important. I know I mentioned that theme, but here's a little bit of data behind that, because every one of these players wants to play at the next level. And we also, as fans and supporters of the program, we want great players in our program like we have. So I think somebody that's coached great players is really important as well. And Coach Jakus has coached 5 NBA draft picks as well as 2 NBA lottery picks, 4 All-Americans. So for that reason and so many more, you know, we just couldn't be more excited to welcome John, Sarah, Cal, Harper, and Brady into the FAU family. So with that, I welcome your next head coach, our next head coach, John Jakus.
You know, I've only been involved with FAU for a couple days now, but the thing I keep hearing over and over again is welcome to paradise. And you know, before we get into how great a place this is, I just want to thank the president. Thank you so much for having me. You were wonderful to hang out with yesterday, and I can't wait to do this together. And Vice President Brian White, thank you so much for the whole process. And the board and all the donors and everybody that hears today, the only way I can stand up here at all, and the only way FAU is what it is because you made it that way. And after that, I just think I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because without him, I'm nothing. And then, Coach, you've done this before. I'll just tell you this, I'm nothing without my wife. And I moved 5 times in 7 years at one point. And, you know, we've been through a lot, but she's the all-star. And she's a Jersey girl. So if you're dumb enough to be a coach, and then you're crazy enough to marry a Jersey girl, and you're pretty tough. And I'll just tell you this, you've probably heard this story before, but a Jersey girl moving to Florida is probably something that's happened, you know? So at least I did something right. But she's done most of it right. I'll just say my oldest son, Brady, is the best man I know. My son, Cal, is a gift from God. And my daughter Harper is spoiled as can be, and you're going to meet her soon. And you know, my 10-year-old daughter's going to run this place. It's not going to be me. And then I just want to thank my parents and my wife's mom for all they do for us. You know, last Sunday we were in the NCAA tournament, and I got a text from my agent, and Brian wanted to talk. And I was like, "Are you kidding me? We're playing today." And I was like, "I don't know if I can do it." And they said, "Well, it's FAU, and you know, this is a great chance." And I said, "You know what? I'll do it." I grew up coming down here. My cousin lived here, so we have family here. We came here for vacation. I've been here for spring break. I'm not going to tell you what happened during that time, okay? But I've been down here before, and I know how special Boca is. And I actually love this place. I told Brian the first time we talked, I'm going to retire here, so if you're just going to bring me here 20 years earlier, let's just do it, all right? So he kind of gauged my interest on the phone, and I didn't know what kind of headspace I was in because we had just lost, and I hate losing, and frankly, I wasn't in a great place. But I wanted it bad. So I spent an hour just selling my heart out for it. And one of the reasons I wanted it so bad is because of what you guys have done. And, you know, The beach is great. Paradise is great. What this university is great. But what you guys have given this place is what I want to be and what I've been about. And the 2 Final Fours have been some of the greatest memories of my life. And the fact that you guys have done this, I want to do another one with you. So my agent Brad Williams, one of the best guys I know, has taken care of me and Sarah so well, and Daniel Parker, the search firm that connected us with Brian, they asked me how to go, and I said, I think I'll get an interview, but I don't know. So I hear back from Brian. He says, can you come in Thursday, spend the night, and then we'll let you sleep in, get prepared, you'll be all set, we can interview you on Friday. 2 hours later, I get another phone call, and they say, can you get on a plane tonight? And so I said, sure. I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, drove 2 hours to Dallas, hopped on a plane, and landed in Boca. And I just want to thank a couple people for that. They sent a car to pick me up, and Mary, Mike, and Alvin took me out to lunch. And the very first thing they did is they took me to the beach. And so we had lunch on the back deck, and patio, no walls, nothing between me and the beach. And I thought, you guys could just stop right now. I think this is done. All right, so they took great care of me. So we were done with that. And then they drove me down A1A, I think it is, and just right along the beach. And I looked at the homes, and I said, man, this is a great place. And they took me to the Boca Raton Hotel, and then they drove me to the wrong side, and then they drove me to the tower. And then we went up the tower, and I sat down with Michael Graffin and Brian. And they faced this way, and they let me face the window, so I saw the lake and the ocean, which probably well done, Brian. All right? So we sit there for 2 hours, and I don't know how long the interview was supposed to go, but he just stops, and he says, give me 10 minutes. This is going to go different than you thought it was going to go today. And I looked at him, and I said, should I call my wife? And he said, do you need to? And I said, she's my wife. And then I looked at him, and I said, are you giving me this job? And he said, I need 10 minutes, but I think that's where this is headed. So I called my wife, and she said, let's go. And the reality is we've got 3 kids, and my second was born with severe autism. And I was a pro coach overseas before. And when we found that out, we had to move home to take care of him. And so I sacrificed my head coaching career in my early 30s to put my family first. And my wife and I have turned down a bunch of jobs. And I've been blessed to be with Mark and Scott for a while now. But this one she didn't want to turn down. And so when we said yes, or when she said yes, we definitely said yes. All right? So, phone call ends, 5 minutes later, your lovely wife Paige came, and then the president came, and then we got to hang out for a little bit, and it became real fast. And from there, we had like 2 hours secret time where we got to hang out with some donors and some people and have a good time. But then it was getting to these guys. And I just want to say that this is where my world and FAU world collides. And from this point on, they're the same thing. And so my time with them was great, and we're going to get to that in a second. But I'll just say that I did call Dusty yesterday, and I thanked him. And then he texted me this morning and wished me good luck. And what that staff did for this place is real similar to what Mark and Scott did for Baylor and Gonzaga. And I just said, you did a great job. And he followed back up today and said some great things. So before I get into these guys, which is what I care about the most today, is I just want to thank my coaching tree really quick. Okay, so Coach Few, Tommy Lloyd, Scott Drew, Mark Driscoll, Graham McCaslin, Paul Mills, Jerome Tang, Bryce Drew, Roger Powell. I'm probably one of the luckiest guys in the world. You lose your coaching career as a head coach, and then you fall into that bunch. I mean, how lucky am I? And I just want to make sure they know how much I love them and how thankful I am. And I'll say this, when I lost my career overseas, the last thing I did is I hosted a tournament, our pro team hosted a tournament, and a Baylor coach showed up, this guy named Tim Maloney. And he heard my story and what was going on, and he actually linked me to Baylor and saved my career and put us in a place where we could take care of my son. And Tim is a Florida high school coach, has coached McDonald's All-Americans, won a ton of games here, might as well be a Hall of Famer. He's sitting right next to my wife. I know how important the state of Florida is. I know it's part of our success. And I'm going to fall in love with all the high school coaches in this state, and we're going to get some players to come play here. But one of the best saved my career, and I just want to thank him for it. Really quick, I want to thank the ADs, Mike Roth and Mac Rhodes. Both Gonzaga and Baylor have been wonderful to me. And then my time with AIA has completely shaped my life and how I coach and how I view the world. And I met guys like Joe Mazzulla, one of my best friends, head coach of the Celtics. Mike Siegfried is one of the best mentors in my life. One of my very best friends, Luke Simons, came because of that. But AIA was a huge part, so I want to thank them also. Then last, I just want to thank the Baylor and Gonzaga staffs. Those guys are some of my best friends, and I literally wouldn't be here without them. And then the only reason I got a job is because God put some of the best players in the world in my life. And as a coach, you're only good as your players. And between Gonzaga and Baylor, you can count the pros, you can count the lottery picks, you can count the success. But at the end of the day, none of it happens unless the players say yes. And the truth is that I was with two head coaches who are both Hall of Famers and both did as good a job of building a program as you could ever do. And Scott took over Baylor after a murder, and probably nobody wanted that job. And he built that thing into a powerhouse, and he'll be a Hall of Famer forever. And Mark Few, he kind of is in the situation I'm in today. Gonzaga went to the Elite Eight. You guys went to the Final Four, which is better. And a coach left. He took a Big Ten job. And Mark decided to stay. And you know what happened? The players stayed with him because they love Gonzaga more than anything else. And I'm just telling you this, if I can learn anything from Mark, not only are you only good as your players, but when you got good ones, you don't want to lose them. And I think we can build what Baylor and Gonzaga has done, but I think we can build it in a better way because outside this door is the beach. All right? And I'll tell you this, that's very kind of you. We've clearly been top 5 in offense, and I've had a great chance to be an offensive coordinator from some really good head coaches. And I think you're going to love the way we play. The amount of scoring, the way we're going to let it fly from 3. We led the country in lob dunks last year. Like, I get how loud this place gets. I get that no matter the size, how it's deafening. I understand the number of sellouts in a row. I was told the last Memphis home game, you literally couldn't hear yourself think. And we want to be fun to watch, and we want you to enjoy your time in this gym. Okay? And I'm just going to tell you this. You might be able to guarantee the offense, but you're also going to be able to watch some really good defense. Because a lot of people stand up here and they promise things. I'm not going to do that. I've been to a couple Final Fours. I know what a national championship looks like. I don't feel like I need to promise things. I feel like what I need to do is control what we can control. And on the defensive end, you're not going to see a team play harder than we're going to play. So the best part of my interview process is we kept it a secret. And I was told that these guys were told that they wouldn't hear about it on social media. And so when I walked into the locker room a couple days ago, or I think a day and a half, because it frustrates me, it's been a blur, they were sitting there and they didn't know who I was. And I turned the corner and I got 20 minutes with them. And I just asked them one thing: give me a chance. Give me a chance. And the reality of the situation is, if you leave, maybe you'll find something better, but I doubt it. Because what you built here and what you built as friends is fantastic. And my hope is that they would give me to Monday. And I don't know if you noticed, none of them are in the portal. Now, you can judge me as a speaker, and maybe I gave a great speech that day, but the reality of the situation is I know that I don't carry the full weight of that decision. And I don't know if we're going to keep them all, but I'll tell you this. The reason I think that they didn't go in is because they wanted to see if they could keep this place great, because they did something that no one's ever done before. and they wanted to see if they could stay together. And I'm just telling you, you know, there's this thing called NIL, and everybody's got all these bad views about it. And the reality of the situation is, if we're just being honest, is that when these guys went to a Final Four, I think it was $1.9 billion of media because that happened. Do you understand that? And on top of that, there's going to be a practice facility here pretty soon. And on top of that, I think, if I'm right, applications have gone up 34% since that Final Four run. And everybody can have a different point of view on NIL, but I'm going to tell you this, they deserve something. And I know how important the president is. I know how important Brian is, and I know how important everybody that's treated me so well is, but I'm just going to tell you this. I'd like you to treat them better than you've treated me so far, and you've treated me pretty great. If they want to go to the NBA, God bless them. I'm going to do everything I can to help them. I think I've got some good connections there. I think that's going to be just okay. And if they end up in the portal, that's okay. Coaches change jobs. I just did it. They have freedom of their own life. But I'm going to fight like crazy to keep you. And I'm just going to tell you this real quick. If you're a season ticket holder, I wouldn't give that up. And if you're a student who had to wait in line because it's so hard to get into this place, I'd tell you to get here earlier next year. And I'm certain of a couple things, but the thing I'm most certain of is put my talent or what you think of me as a coach aside. If these guys stay together, FAU is a top 25 basketball team before we even practice one time. So I got lucky enough to make my interview into a second interview because I felt like I was interviewing for them, okay? But then they were great to me yesterday. Every one of them came in and met with me one-on-one. And they gave me a chance to speak my heart. And they gave me a chance to give them a vision of what it could be. And I'm just going to tell you one little thing that was said yesterday. G told me one thing, okay? He said, when you guys went to a Final Four, it was like a train. And everybody was on board. And there's literally nothing that anybody could do to stop it. And my goal in this whole thing is that train doesn't slow down. It actually speeds up, and we keep these guys on it, and we do it again. And you're going to find out that I care about them so much that we're going to go to work and make sure the NIL is right. We are, because I love them. I haven't coached them a day, but I've been entrusted these guys, and I love them. But this is not transactional. Don't turn that into something that isn't true. This is transformational. And I'm just telling you this because I know this from experience. And Coach knows it too. He went to a Final Four with Florida when he's on Billy's staff. But they stay together, you know what happens? Their jerseys are hung, they're retired in this building. They stay together. We build that practice facility. You know the picture that literally never comes down? Them. Because you know who did it first? Them. And we can win. The staff can go in the portal, and we're about to hire a great staff. I can't tell you who they are now, but it's going to be fantastic. But we can do it a different way. I'm just telling you I don't want to. And it's not really about me. We'll figure out a way to win. What it is I think that this community will take care of them for the next 50 years. Because this community has never experienced what they gave you. And they can go someplace else and play for another coach, and they can go there for a year and they can experience that. And maybe that'll be a great thing. Maybe it will. But if they stay here and we do a good job, they get to see their name in the rafters. one of the very coolest things that's ever happened to me is I was just handed a jersey to be the head coach at FAU with my name on the back of it. From this day forward, I'll never talk about myself again. The only thing I'll talk about is them. So I'm not just here to say welcome to paradise. I'm going to tell you we're going to win in paradise. And I'm going to say this train is not slowed down. And if you have any control in keeping these guys here, please do the best to make that happen. Thank you so much for having me be as your head coach. It's been a complete honor, and I can't wait to get to work.
Oh, sorry. Lisa Ann, can you bring the jersey back up? Before we wrap it up, I think the photographers would like a chance to get a shot of Coach with the jersey and perhaps Brian and Coach together. And then for the media here, Coach and Brian will be available for group interviews right down here after they're all wrapped up. So, by the way, I just want to share one thing that Coach told me in our interview. If you look at Coach Few at Gonzaga, Coach Drew at Baylor, they both have been there a long time. And he said that's the paradigm, that's the plan that he has in mind to be here for the long haul. Coach, welcome. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.